There is a particular sound that every cat owner knows. A slow, deliberate tap, a pause, another tap, and then the unmistakable clatter of something hitting the floor that had absolutely no business being on the floor. You look over, your cat is sitting at the edge of the table, or the counter, or the shelf, looking at you, completely unbothered, sometimes with one paw still extended from the push. And you think, why? Why does this keep happening? Why does my cat, who has access to toys and beds and windows and scratching posts, find it necessary to send my coffee mug, my phone, my carefully organized pile of papers off the edge of whatever surface they are currently occupying? For a long time, the honest answer from the scientific community was, we are not entirely sure. Cat behavior, despite being one of the most commonly observed phenomena in the modern world, has historically received far less formal research attention than dog behavior. Cats were considered too independent, too variable, too difficult to study in controlled conditions. That has changed significantly in recent years, and what researchers have uncovered about this specific behavior, the deliberate, unhurried, entirely intentional knocking of objects off surfaces, is genuinely fascinating. It is not random. It is not spite. It is not your cat being difficult for the sake of being difficult. It is something much more interesting than any of those things, and once you understand what is actually driving it, you will see this behavior completely differently. You might even find yourself appreciating it. Let's get into it.
To understand why cats knock things off surfaces, you first have to understand something fundamental about how cats gather information about their environment. Because cats do not experience the world primarily through their eyes the way humans do. They experience it through multiple sensory channels simultaneously. And one of the most important of those channels is touch. Specifically, the touch receptors concentrated in their paws. A cat's paws are extraordinary sensory instruments. The pads contain a dense concentration of Meissner's corpuscles, specialized nerve endings that are exquisitely sensitive to texture, temperature, vibration, and movement. These are the same type of receptors found in high concentration in human fingertips. When a cat reaches out and touches something, they are not just making contact with it, they are reading it, gathering data about its weight, its stability, its surface texture, its capacity to move or resist movement. This is why cats bat at things before committing to interacting with them fully. It is a sensory investigation. Before a cat picks something up in their mouth or commits their full body to investigating it, they use their paw to establish a preliminary profile of the object. Is it alive? Is it dangerous? Is it worth further attention? When your cat taps your pen or your water glass or the small decorative object on your shelf, they are doing exactly this. They are reaching out with one of their most sophisticated sensory organs and gathering information. The fact that this information gathering sometimes results in the object going over the edge is initially almost incidental to the primary investigation. Research from the field of comparative cognition has shown that cats use their paws in ways that are functionally analogous to how primates use their hands for manipulation, investigation, and environmental interaction. Your cat is not being clumsy, they are being scientific. What this means for you as an owner, the initial paw tap is curiosity and investigation, not mischief. A cat who regularly taps at objects and surfaces is a cat who is mentally engaged with their environment. That is actually a positive sign. It means they are alert, curious, and actively processing the world around them.
Here is where it gets really interesting, because the sensory investigation aspect of this behavior only explains part of what is happening. The other part is rooted in something much older and much more deeply embedded in your cat's behavioral architecture, their hunting drive. Cats are obligate carnivores whose survival in the wild depends entirely on their ability to catch prey. And prey, by definition, moves. It runs, it scurries, it twitches, it reacts. The entire feline hunting sequence, the stalk, the pounce, the grab, the kill bite, is triggered and sustained by movement. Movement is what activates a cat's predatory system at a neurological level. Now, consider what happens when a cat taps an object on a table. If the object moves, slides slightly, rocks, shifts position, that movement triggers a predatory response. The cat's attention sharpens, their pupils may dilate, their tail may begin to twitch. They tap again, watching intently for the response. This is the same neurological sequence that activates when a cat watches a bird outside a window, or tracks a moving laser dot, or stalks a piece of string being dragged across the floor. The object on the table has become functionally prey, and the cat is running through their predatory evaluation sequence, testing whether this thing is worth pursuing, whether it will move again, whether it constitutes a viable target. When the object falls off the edge, several things happen simultaneously. The object moves dramatically, suddenly in a new direction. If it makes a sound when it lands, that adds an auditory component to the stimulation. And if the cat's owner reacts, turns around, makes a sound, gets up, that adds a social and interactive component that further reinforces the behavior. Dr. Michael Delgado, a certified applied animal behaviorist who studied feline cognition extensively, has noted that cats are particularly drawn to objects that respond to their touch, things that move, make noise, or produce some observable change in the environment. From a purely behavioral standpoint, an object that falls off a table and makes a satisfying crash is one of the most rewarding outcomes a cat's investigative paw tap can produce. What this means for you as an owner: your cat is not knocking things off tables to frustrate you. They are running a predatory investigation sequence on objects that have triggered their attention. The behavior is driven by instinct, not malice. Understanding this completely changes how you can respond to it effectively.